Jordan Tower with JT News. Well, it seems like Hot 97 is still upset about Drake dissing them in New York City, but put some context to that. Just a day or two before that, Ebro made up a story trying to pin Eminem and Drake against each other as a joke, but people took it seriously. And also, Funkmaster Flex was coming for Drake to end him last year. So anyways, we go on. Drake disses Meek Mill in Philly. Disrespects him, performs back-to-back, calls him a pussy, says he's not really from Philly, but also expresses how much he loves Philly fans. So Peter Rosenberg had to voice his opinion on Twitter. He said there was no need for Drake to reignite things with Meek. He's always been realer than you. Your content is meaningless. Then he basically calls Drake an actor. He says someone has you gassed, dissing Hot 97 in New York. Meek in Philly, you're an actor. You're soft. Then he says Drake wouldn't be tough even in my Hebrew school. Make hits for the club. Don't be hard. And then he said, I don't care what Drake fans stand say, blah, blah, blah. He goes on. Then he talks about how long he's been in the game. I just started hearing about him like 5 years ago. And then he says, I don't hate Drake at all. He's super talented. He took hip-hop to a good place. He's trying to be neutral in the situation. But let's get to this, okay? Okay, Meek is realer than Drake. I mean, what's real? What, just you're only real if you grow up in the streets? Or are you real if you stand for something? Let's put things in context. Meek was trying to end Drake when Drake was being a friend to Meek a year ago. He did Amen, which introduced Meek to the game. Like, it was a bigger introduction to the game. I know Meek was already hot in Philly. I know that. I know he was hot in the underground. I know Meek's talented. And then he had the boss thing with Rick Ross. Rick Ross brought him to the game, but Drake was the pop star that co-signed Meek. He wanted Meek to win, obviously. Then he did the Rico track. It's not like he denied Meek anything. He did the Rico track on his last album. But then Meek decides, I'm going to go against Drake and come for his spot. I'm going to expose him for not writing all his own material. And he was trying to end Drake. So as a man, you got to defend yourself. And that's all I feel Drake is doing. Do I think Drake's hard? Do I think Drake tries to come off hard sometimes? Maybe, but he has goons around him. He does have goons around him from Toronto. I know that for a fact. P. Rain is a goon. Okay? So basically, when Rosenberg is saying all this and your content is meaningless, he's not talking about the streets all day and whipping up pots. He's talking about his love life and his emotions. I mean, that's his content. He's not talking about Meek's content. Maybe he dibble-dabbles in that a little bit, but most of his content is emotion. So I don't get where Rosenberg's going with that. And then we live in a different day in hip-hop where it doesn't mean anything. Like if you, back in the day, if you went to somebody else's city, you don't diss them in their city unless you want real problems. People don't take beef that far nowadays. It's different nowadays. Like, rap's evolved, and I know I come from the same era. Like I'm not that much younger than Rosenberg. I'm like 7 years younger than him, and still, I grew up Nas and all that kind of stuff where, hip-hop was like that. And, there were certain rules and stuff. But those rules don't pertain to hip-hop nowadays. So saying, like, Drake's real, I mean, he has a story. It's just not from the streets. And I don't think he's ever claimed to come from the streets, really. I mean, he says he had it tough growing up. Yeah, he wasn't a multi-millionaire. And probably had multi-millionaire friends, so he didn't have everything they had. But, I'm not coming, Meek, yes, he has a great story. He came from the streets, from nothing, and made some, it was harder for Meek to come up. Yes. Now, Drake, it's still hard to make it in the rap game. I don't care if you're rich or not. I mean, come on, you got Tommy Hilfiger's son that can't make it, and he's a multi-millionaire. Drake's obviously believable to a point. So I think it's just like Hot 97 is just, they're still mad at Drake, for dissing him, I mean, that's what it is, So am I defending Drake here? No, I'm just saying that these comments are kind of blasphemous. That's all. Anyways, what do you guys think?